this meeting of the Thousand Oaks City Council for January 28th, 2025. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Adam,
Here.
Councilmember Engler,
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Taylor,
Here.
and Mayor Newman.
Here.
Thank you.
Our first item is a closed session. Ms. Noonan.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Newman. There's 3 listed on the agenda, but I'm actually going to be pulling item 3C from the agenda. We will not be hearing that tonight, but we will be going in closed session on items 3A and 3B. Both of them are pending litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9A. The first one is California Department of Housing and Community Development versus Shangri-La, and the second one is F. Roberts Construction versus Shangri-La.
Thank you. And we will be back at 6 p.m. Okay, we are back from closed session. City Attorney Noonan, is there anything to report from closed session?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. If you're able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the time in our meeting for public comments. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the time and place for public comments. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. 5 individuals have requested to speak, and pursuant to council standards, speakers are allowed 3 minutes. The yellow light displays when you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you, Ms. McGuire. We have 5 public comment speakers in all, so you'll each have 3 minutes at the microphone. So in person, we begin with Steve Lutz, followed by Rich Hammond, followed by Josh Gray. Mr. Lutz, good evening.
Hi, my name is Steve Lutz. I live in Newbury Park. Good evening, Council. I'm here today to address a pressing issue that has deeply affected our community, Southern California Edison's so-called public safety power shutoffs. Over the past 3 weeks, my household, along with many others in our community, have experienced prolonged power outages. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. These outages were not caused by natural disasters or unforeseen events, but by SCE's lack of proper infrastructure and management. Let's be perfectly clear, this is all about money. On the one hand, the financial burden to our community, your constituents, has been staggering. Many families lost hundreds of dollars worth of food because refrigerators couldn't run. Others have spent additional hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on takeout meals in restaurants, alternate power solutions such as generators. Some have faced significant losses on income because they couldn't work during these outages. Personally, I've been put in a position where my career is at stake, jeopardizing my career because deadlines were missed. On the other hand, we have SCE's bottom line. These public safety power shutoffs are not about public safety, they are about profit. They are designed to protect SCE's financial interest in the pockets of their investors, plain and simple. This is unacceptable. As a city, I'm urging you to take action to prevent the continued use of PSPSs as a shortcut. We need to make it more costly for SCE to rely on these shortcuts than investing in their failing infrastructure would cost. Let's not forget that SCE operates as a monopoly, granted by you, the city. With that monopoly comes responsibility that SCE has blatantly ignored. Gotta talk faster. Over these past 3 weeks, their communication with customers has been dismissive and at best non-existent. Dismissive at best, non-existent at worst. They sent vague emails expressing how they understand the hardships, yet provide no timely notification. Notifications were late. After the power was shut off, 30 minutes is when I got my text. Transparency has also been non-existent. It's a guessing game when power would be restored, and let's not even talk about the impossibility of reaching a live human being on their so-called customer service. Adding insult to injury in the midst of all this chaos, they actually had the audacity to send me a bill. Council members, it's time for SCE to hold SCE accountable. It's time to demand a level of service that puts public safety and community well-being above profits. Please take immediate steps to ensure that PSPs no longer a cost-saving measure for SCE. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lutz, for your comments. Next up, we have Rich Hammond, followed by Josh Gray.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Rich Hammond. I'm from Newbury Park. I would also like to speak about Southern California Edison and the public safety power shutoffs. First, I am grateful, I want to say, that our community was not touched by any of the fires. I know how devastating they've been to the folks in Palisades, Altadena, and other areas. So certainly my deepest sympathies go out to those people. But I would also urge you as our city leadership to determine why so many of these shutoffs are necessary. I'd like to point you to General Order 95 from the California Public Utilities Commission, which says that all power lines need to be able to withstand winds of at least 56 miles per hour. That's what's stated in the mandate. Why then did so many Thousand Oaks residents lose power for multiple days last week when we had wind speeds that didn't even exceed 30 miles per hour? Not 56, not even 30. And why, when the strongest winds have subsided after the morning of January 8th, did power remain off for several days? We had strong winds, yes we did, but they did not exceed the standards of General Order 95. That wind data, by the way, is publicly available on the National Weather Service website. I spent way too much time researching it, so anybody can look it up. My question is, if Edison is properly maintaining its equipment, why are they shutting off the power with winds under 56 miles per hour? On the website, Edison refers to these shutoffs as a, quote, last resort. That doesn't feel like a last resort to me. On January 14th, the Los Angeles Times reported that Edison had recently been criticized by state regulators for, quote, falling behind in inspecting transmission lines in high-risk fire areas. Is that what's happening here? Are we losing power during periods of mild winds because Edison is concerned about its equipment? Now, let me be very clear. Nobody should be reckless when it comes to fire. I'm not saying that. Our firefighters have risked their lives to protect communities, and I don't want to see them facing unnecessary risks. But my thoughts are also with our Thousand Oaks residents, your constituents, who suffer during these shutoffs. We're talking about work-from-home employees. You're talking about parents who need to keep food in their refrigerators. You're talking about the elderly who need care, who need power. I hope the city will stand up for these people, raise these concerns with Southern California Edison, and make sure these shutoffs are valid. Thank you for your time. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond, very much. Finally, among in-person speakers is Mr. Josh Gray. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Newman, council members, and Happy New Year to y'all. My name is Josh Gray, Director of Government Affairs and Tourism for the Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce, here with just a few updates. I'd like to start by thanking everyone who joined us for the State of the Chamber last week. Additionally, Leadership Conejo's 22nd cohort during its last session visited the Ventura County Fire Department in Camarillo and got to see up close the successes and challenges of our local firefighters. And next month, they'll be visiting Los Robles and the Takeda campus to dive into healthcare's role in the Conejo Valley. We're greatly looking forward to tomorrow night's downtown discussion with Business Mix and about visitor experience. Some upcoming grand openings for you all include the United Defense Tactical on February 12th, Creole Kings at the Oaks on February 18th, Planet Fitness on February 19th, and the grand reopening for Dave & Buster's is this Friday, January 31st. On March 7th, we'll be having our Economic Summit Roundtable with discussions on key trends identified during the 2025 Ventura County Economic Forecast event on February 20th. On the tourism front, I'm sure as you can imagine, with the last 2 months of fires, the TID's occupancy numbers have seen large fluctuations up and down in order to accommodate the influx of evacuees, firefighters, utility response, and insurance groups. In response to the number of evacuees and to say thank you to the first responders, the TID held 3 different dinners over the last few weeks to host them and try and accommodate during a time of need. Additionally, 3 hotel properties in Thousand Oaks, along with many local businesses, were impacted by the PSPS outages. However, I do want to thank the local hospitality workers who helped evacuees and first responders alike in an extended moment of crisis. As I shared previously, our streak of wins in public relations recently has led to some incredible numbers summing up 2024, including 43 pieces of earned coverage, over 1.2 million views through PR influencers, with over 7,000 engagements, and an overall audience size of 409 million for news coverage for 2024. On the marketing side, we've seen a 66% increase of website traffic year over year. Our socials have over 2.5 million impressions, 1.5 million views, 23% increase in newsletter and email marketing, and over 15.7 million impressions on programmatic ads. The TID's conference schedule for 2025 is planned to include 8 different conferences ranging from weddings to sports, industry, and meetings that will take place throughout much of the Western United States. All these conferences utilize the new logo and branding materials that have been developed in the last year. Next meeting is on the 18th of February. You're all welcome to join us. Thank you for your partnership, and I'm here if you have any questions at any point. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Mr. Gray, appreciate that. Both the chamber and the TID updates. Mr. Powers, do we have any response to public comments? Oh, I'm sorry. We're not finished with public comments. My apologies to our remote participants via Zoom. We go first to Ms. Cindy Liu. Good evening, Ms. Liu.
Good evening. Well, Happy New Year. I'm not going to lie, I don't know if anyone else feels like January 2025 has about 14,000 days to it. But the great thing is tomorrow is the first day of the Lunar New Year, so it can be a fresh start into anyone who celebrates Xinyan Kuai Le. Good evening, Mayor Newman, council members and staff. My name is Cindy Liu. I'm the founder of We Belong, a grassroots organization that advocates for the needs of the disability community. I've advocated the state and federal and also community level. It's a very personal topic to me. I have 2 beautiful kids and my daughter has a disability. I'm speaking tonight to follow up on an email that I sent last week to council members and staff. It contained an article from the LA Times that told the very tragic story of a disabled father and son who burned to death in the Altadena fires. Excuse me. From the article, a line that just broke my heart because it could very well be us. Quote, "They huddled together, awaiting a rescue they knew would never come," end quote. I want to thank the folks who have responded and took the time to chat with me, and I eagerly await for council members to connect for those who have yet to respond. Just to be clear, I'm not here to point any fingers or Zoom attack criticism. I'm speaking tonight because I want to raise the real questions and concerns so that we can prevent such a tragedy happening in the Conejo. I know everyone in that room tonight wants the same thing. There are approximately 2,000 disabled students at CVUSD. If you extrapolate to family members and caregivers, it's reasonable to assume the disability community is approximately 5,000 to 6,000 people. That's roughly a third of the population of Thousand Oaks. If we consider our aging population and their families and loved ones, it's even more. That's a lot of people. So does our city truly understand the unique needs of this community? Do we have an emergency evacuation plan that considers the diverse needs of the disability community? Are our emergency systems reaching the community in an accessible manner? Do you know if the disability community is aware of the supports that already exist? If the answer to these questions is no, or I don't know, that's what we need to urgently tackle. And to speak quite plainly, we're one gust of wind, one spark away from another fire event. What are our safeguards that will prevent us from being the next tragic headline? But I come not only with questions, also with a couple of solutions for your consideration. The first one is, can we establish an advisory group consisting of disabled community members, much like the Council on Aging? And the second possible solution is, can we establish an advisory group consisting of disabled community members, much like the Council on Aging? It's time to meaningfully include the disability community as a heartbeat in all aspects of city planning, including transportation, planning, budgeting, new developments, and public safety. It's imperative. Thank you kindly for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Liu, for your comments. And now we turn to City Manager Drew Powers. Do we have one more? Or one more? Okay. Karen Martin is up next. Sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
That's okay. Hi. I'm here. I know some of the council members. Some of them are new to me. I come with the same request. Lynn Road is an area that is ignored frequently in traffic. I understand that we only have traffic cops, kind of like banker hours, Monday through Friday. And the rest of the time, patrol is left to the dispatchers who are busy with this growing community. And, you know, there has to be a solution. You cannot squelch the budget and not give them a cost of living raise and continue to grow this city. I'm not saying you shouldn't grow this city. I disagree completely. I think you should. In fact, I would love to see the Caruso property build out, which we took a beating on. So I request that you look at finances and you try to balance it out to help your constituency. I am being told that there's not enough assets to patrol the area, and it's my neighbors. I mean, really, people who live around here who are driving too fast. They've got children in the cars, and they're not respecting the laws. And if you don't have people to help enforce the laws, you might not have laws. So I know you guys have had a long night tonight, so please, if someone could reach out, I'd love to start a discussion of how we can improve traffic in this space. We're right by the hospital, and nobody seems to care. So please help us. Thank you.
And again, my apologies for not seeing you there on Zoom. And now we turn to Mr. Powers for responses.
Thanks, Mayor Newman. Well, let me begin with SCE, and let me echo the frustrations we heard from two of our residents here. Everybody on this dais has been impacted. This city hall was without power. An entire workforce had to work in remote status. 50 intersections left darkened that we had to run generators around to in varying capacities, and even that only had a finite period of time. This last stretch of public safety power shutoffs have been the worst that Edison has ever brought forward. And our advocacy on this goes back to 2018, 2019. And we'd actually made a little bit of headway. And that headway we'd seen in recent years as some, shortening of duration and some limitations of circuits. And then something changed in this go-around. And it really created a situation, not just for Thousand Oaks, but for cities across Southern California. And I'll tell you that because I've sat on calls with elected officials and administrative leaders from cities across our region that were impacted. And in Ventura County, just to share a little bit about what's happening from our standpoint, we are not standing idly by here to just wait for the next PSPS. Our focus on advocacy is on two fronts. The CPUC, the Public Utilities Commission, which oversees Edison, is hearing directly from us as to our expectations. We have a whole list of those, but really it comes down to this. There needs to be greater investment in infrastructure to stop these from happening in the first place. Much of the reason that these circuits go out is because of a lack of investment in infrastructure far up the circuit. It can be addressed, it has to be prioritized, it may be expensive, but it's nothing compared to what the impacts of these things are. The second is when there needs to be a PSPS, the duration needs to be shortened. They need to be nimble enough to put the circuits back online quicker. There's about 25 other things on our list that we're focused on. In other cities, Camarillo, Simi Valley, Moore Park, Ventura, we're all coordinating together under the Office of Emergency Services, because at the end of the day, this is about the safety of our community overall. And so Patrick Maynard, who heads up our Office of Emergency Services, is helping to spearhead that. And we're all putting our advocacy in together with a number of parties and submitting that to the state Office of Emergency Services to get directly to the governor, to the legislature, and to the CPUC directly. While it hasn't been clear, there were some improvements between the first public safety power shutoff and this last one in the duration and the level of impact and their ability to segment some circuits. We are still in conversation with them almost every single day about our expectations on this, and I just want everyone to know that we share that frustration. We are going to ensure that there are the greatest changes brought to bear that we can effectuate, and I appreciate the residents coming down here to share those words, and know that our council members here, including Mayor Newman, who sat on these calls, have been very vocal about their perspectives and done so in an articulate, constructive manner, because mudslinging is not really getting us to where we need to go. We're trying to get action, and that's where our focus is. As it relates to comment regarding evacuations, we're certainly regularly aware of the needs of our most vulnerable, and evacuations are coordinated in our county via the Office of Emergency Services in conjunction with our local law enforcement personnel. We are constantly updating and evaluating those plans. For instance, after the Woolsey fire, our friends in Agoura Hills and Westlake Village had some challenges evacuating folks out of senior living facilities. It resulted in a number of different changes to protocols. So there are always steps being taken. In the power shutoff arena, there are issues that Edison has to reckon with those that are on oxygen or life support and have critical needs at their homes. And those were left unmet in this last go-around. And so that's another component that we're bringing to bear. In regards to that particular resident's concern, our Police Chief Jeremy Paris has already spoken with her, but he's also going to make contact with her and our Office of Emergency Services to talk further on that front. And then finally, as it regards in regards to enforcement along Lynn Road, we've had regular contact with that particular resident. Enforcement is not a banker's hour job. Enforcement is an all-day, everyday job. We have higher staffing levels at different points in time, and we have a very well-funded law enforcement apparatus in this community. $31 million, probably the most substantial commitment of law enforcement in this county, and so this city council puts a premium on that. We continue to invest heavily on that, and we do move those resources around to where they're needed the most. And Lynn Road, it's a long road. It's always a priority for us, and it will continue to be over time.
Thank you, Mr. Powers, very much. We turn next to consent calendar. Are there any questions or items to pull, council members? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion on the consent calendar. Councilmember Gutierrez, I see you raising your hand.
I'll move to make that motion and find that the action is not a project as defined under CEQA.
Very good. Let's vote.
Councilmember Adam, can I have your voice vote, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And that motion passes 5-0.
Very good, thank you. We turn next to department reports. We have two this evening. The first of which is on our 2025 to 2031 Information Technology Strategic Plan. Presenting this evening, Mr. Powers will make some opening remarks. Then we will hear from Deputy Finance Director Carrie Mattson. And we also have available for questions our Finance Director, Jamie Boscarino, and our Deputy City Manager, Akbar Alakan. Mr. Powers.
Thanks, Mayor Newman. I just wanted to take a couple quick seconds here to set the table. Really pleased to be here tonight for an item that we have been hard at work at for a considerable period of time. I wanted to, this is our information technology strategic plan for the next number of years in our organization. I want to remind the City Council that this was one of the call-outs on your top priorities for this past year, global technology investment across our enterprise. This document is going to take us, we're on a very good footing right now, but our focus is for the future and sort of accelerating forward. And you're going to hear from Carrie Mattson, our Deputy Finance Director here in just a few moments, who has really been the architect of this plan in working with our city team, our IT team, and a number of leaders from our executive leadership team, including Jamie and Akbar. These efforts are always interesting. You see master plans for infrastructure, like our water and wastewater plants. You see sustainability plans and other things. This is really a document that represents an overarching investment in technology across all of our enterprise, all of our departments. And so this is really a very important, very impactful item, and excited for you to hear it this evening.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor Newman and members of the council. Joining me tonight is our Finance Director, Jamie Boscarino, and Deputy City Manager, Akbar Ali Khan. And we are excited to be here this evening to present the city's Information Technology Strategic Plan. The ITSP includes initiatives that will guide us through fiscal year 29-30 and lays the groundwork for technology to play an even bigger role in how we operate and serve the community. Taking a quick look at the ITSP components we will be covering, we'll start with the purpose of the ITSP and its development. We'll discuss the city's vision for technology, and then the strategic goals and initiative highlights that support that vision. We'll provide an overview of how the initiative roadmap was developed and recommendations for restructuring our IT operations. Finally, we will look at the next steps after tonight's discussion. Beginning with our purpose for crafting the ITSP, we wanted to create a clear, practical, and forward-looking roadmap. This plan ensures that our technology investments align with City Council's goals and priorities while improving operations and service delivery. But the ITSP is not just about solving today's challenges, it's also preparing the city for what's ahead. And as technology continues to evolve, so do the expectations for public services to be more efficient, accessible, and responsive. By modernizing systems, fostering a culture of innovation, and improving how we manage and use data, we're positioning the city to effectively adapt to the future. Developing the ITSP was truly a collaborative effort. We began with partnering with Third Wave Corporation, an independent consulting firm that conducted an external assessment of the city's current technology environment. This helped us get a clear picture of what's working, what's not, and ideas for what we could focus on to move forward. To make sure we captured the perspective of staff across all departments, 2 surveys were conducted. The first one looked at the state of our current systems, the support provided by our IT staff, and areas where we can improve. The second survey explored data accessibility, innovation opportunities, and future technology goals. These surveys gave us valuable insights into the everyday challenges and priorities of our staff. Business process workshops were also conducted to dig into critical systems. Staff who work directly with these systems shared the details of how they are functioning and practical ideas for making things more efficient and integrated. Visioning sessions were also an essential component of the development process. These discussions explored big picture topics like system integration, data strategy, and customer service. One of the key outcomes of the ITSP development process was the creation of a shared vision statement for IT. And that vision is to leverage transformative technology to enhance the quality of life for all residents, fostering a connected, inclusive, and sustainable community and workplace. We strive to boldly embrace innovation, fostering a nimble culture with the courage to explore new ideas and solutions. We strive to deliver modern, efficient, and customer-centric services through technology that prioritizes integration between city systems. And we strive to promote data accessibility for effective and collaborative decision-making. This vision served as the guiding principles for developing the ITSP and highlights the importance of innovation and adaptability. Ultimately, the vision statement is intended to ensure that all technology investments and initiatives contribute to the city's long-term goals, supporting a forward-thinking and community-focused approach to innovation. Based on the insights gathered during the development process, 5 strategic goals were crafted to serve as a framework for the ITSP and guide the city's technology efforts. These are innovative and adaptable technology investments, user experience and customer service, data accessibility for decision-making, business process improvement, and IT governance, cybersecurity, and continuity. It's important to note that the order in which these goals are presented here is consistent with the order within the ITSP document. The numbering is just for convenience and easier reference and does not imply that any one goal is a higher priority than the others. Each goal is equally important, and collectively, they support the vision and direction of the ITSP. I'll now go into each strategic goal in a little more detail and highlight some of the key initiatives that fall under each one. The first strategic goal, innovative and adaptable technology investments, focuses on building a flexible and integrated IT infrastructure that addresses today's needs while preparing for future demands. Comprised of 15 initiatives, this goal emphasizes reducing reliance on isolated, department-specific solutions and fostering a cohesive, citywide technology ecosystem. A key initiative under this goal is replacing the city's 30-year-old enterprise resource planning system. An ERP system is like the central nervous system of an organization. It's a software platform that connects and streamlines core operations like finance and human resources. While our current ERP system has been very stable, the technology landscape has evolved, and advanced capabilities now extend beyond its traditional functionality. To achieve the city's technology vision, implementing a modern ERP system will transform core functions, integrate workflows, and incorporate automation, significantly reducing reliance on manual processes and siloed support systems. Other foundational initiatives include consolidating databases to streamline administration, upgrading legacy systems such as the city's phone network to a modern, cloud-based platform, and advancing smart city technologies like artificial intelligence tools and geographic information systems to enhance decision-making and responsiveness. The second strategic goal, user experience and customer service, highlights the importance of delivering accessible, efficient, and user-friendly services. Comprised of 4 initiatives, this goal aims to improve interactions with city systems, provide staff with modern tools and training, and create seamless experiences for the community. Key initiatives include equipping staff with mobile devices and improving Wi-Fi connectivity to support flexible and efficient work environments. Additionally, a comprehensive training program will help staff fully utilize new technologies, fostering continuous learning and improved productivity. For external users, the city's redesigned website is transforming the online experience into a more accessible, mobile-optimized, and user-friendly platform. In addition, the modernization of the public computer infrastructure at the libraries will enhance system performance and improve the experience for library patrons. The third strategic goal, data accessibility for decision-making, focuses on transforming how the city manages and uses data to support informed decisions, enhance transparency, and drive collaboration. Data is one of the city's most valuable assets, and the 4 initiatives supporting this goal emphasize creating a strong foundation for managing and utilizing it effectively. Key initiatives include the development of a data management plan to establish a standardized framework for data governance. The Enterprise Content Management Initiative will streamline how the city manages documents and records, reducing redundancies and enhancing accessibility. The city will also refresh its performance measurement program to ensure alignment with current strategic goals and priorities. This initiative will re-examine how we are measuring performance to strengthen accountability and support continuous improvement. In addition, a centralized data analytics function will be created to unify data management efforts, eliminate silos, and empower the city to fully leverage data assets. The 4th strategic goal, business process support, is comprised of 6 initiatives and focuses on enhancing workflows. By leveraging technology and streamlining processes, operations will be modernized to better serve both staff and the community. A key initiative already underway is the EnerGov Enterprise Permitting and Licensing Implementation, otherwise known as EPL 2.0. This effort is redesigning permitting and licensing workflows to create a user-friendly process for applicants. Another initiative involves conducting a citywide inventory of all software and systems to identify redundancies and provide a foundation for future system integration opportunities. To improve how projects are managed, the city will establish a structured project management training program and standardized documentation practices. In addition, business process improvement efforts will optimize workflows and automate repetitive manual tasks, allowing staff to focus on higher value activities. The 5th strategic goal is IT governance, cybersecurity, and continuity. Comprised of 5 initiatives, this goal focuses on ensuring the city's technology resources are secure, well-managed, and resilient against evolving threats and disruptions. Strong IT governance is critical for effective decision-making and aligning technology investments with the IT vision and the city's broader goals and priorities. One of the key initiatives is redesigning the city's IT governance committees to strengthen oversight of IT resource planning. This approach will ensure technology investments deliver the best value citywide and prevent the adoption of redundant technologies. With a significant amount of ITSP initiatives, a change management plan will be developed to guide the smooth adoption of new systems and processes, reducing disruption and stress for staff. With all of these plan changes, refreshing and updating the city's disaster recovery and continuity plans will ensure that critical operations remain resilient and services are restored quickly during emergencies or unforeseen disruptions. In total, 34 initiatives are included in the ITSP and were carefully scheduled into a roadmap that provides a clear and structured implementation plan. While we refer to it as a 5-year roadmap, it technically spans 6 years, beginning with a foundational year 0 for fiscal year 2024-25 that we are currently in. The purpose of including a year 0 was to build on the efforts already in progress and to address critical efforts that will set the stage for the larger and more complex projects in subsequent years. Several factors guided the development of the roadmap. The first was assessing project interdependencies. Many initiatives depend on the successful execution of other projects within the ITSP. These interdependencies were carefully analyzed to ensure logical sequencing and successful outcomes. Staff capacity was also a key consideration to ensure that the participating employees could effectively manage and execute projects without being overwhelmed. The roadmap also took into consideration balancing the city's financial capacity, strategically spreading out investments to avoid overextending resources. The vision and initiatives that make up this ITSP represent a significant shift in supporting city operations. This is why staff recommends transitioning from our current organizational structure of an IT division within the finance department to a standalone IT department. This strategic shift reflects the growing importance of technology as a cornerstone of municipal operations, innovation, and service delivery. The new IT department will be structured into 2 divisions. The Technology Services Division will focus on foundational IT operations, ensuring seamless service delivery and robust infrastructure. Responsibilities will include managing user support, maintaining network systems, and managing the city's cybersecurity program. The Innovation and Data Services Division will lead the city's efforts in data management, project management, business process improvements, and analytics. New roles will be phased in over several years to build capacity in these expanded areas of IT operations. By shifting to this full-service IT model, the city can better align technology with organizational priorities, deliver proactive support to the departments, and respond more effectively to the dynamic needs of the city. Should City Council approve the ITSP this evening, the next steps include incorporating the Year 1 and Year 2 investments into the budget process for fiscal years 2025 to 27. All ITSP-related budget items will be highlighted during the budget study sessions and public hearing. In addition, the city proactively planned for this effort and currently has $5 million set aside to help fund one-time expenditures identified in the ITSP. Staff will continue to strategically plan for the implementation of years 3 through 5, ensuring alignment with organizational priorities, efficient use of resources, and successful execution of this transformative plan. In summary, the ITSP represents an exciting opportunity for the city to advance technology, improve efficiency, and foster innovation across all operations. It positions us to meet today's needs while preparing for the challenges and opportunities of the future. I'd like to thank all of the city staff members who participated in the development process, and particularly the IT staff members who have worked to provide a solid foundation for the city's next evolution in technology. With that, staff recommends City Council's approval of the Information Technology Strategic Plan and find that this action is not a project as defined under the California Environmental Quality Act. And we are happy to address any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mattson, for your presentation. Council members, do we have any questions of staff? Mayor Pro Tem Taylor.
Was that to me? Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for the presentation. A couple of questions for you. One, on the EPL 2.0, is the idea that by leveraging technology, we should see an increased speed in getting through projects, and then what would, I think, ultimately result in potentially a cost savings as well? Is that what you guys are seeing?
EPL 2.0 is really focusing on leveraging the technology we just put in with the system, but really redesigning the workflows to have a unified experience for the applicant. So when you come to apply for a permit, it doesn't matter which department you're working for. You have a unified experience just from the city. And it's really more focusing on those workflows.
Okay, so unified, will there be efficiency created as well?
Yeah, and maybe
yes.
I'll jump in as they're talking, and Akbar can speak up as well, because he's been working on that particular aspect of the project as well. One of the key functional areas is on permit classes. If you imagine, we have a wide range of permit classes, and this next iteration of workflow improvement is to actually categorize and try to reduce some of those permit classes where we can, and that in and of itself does create that efficiency. Add anything else to that?
Sure. The other thing I would add, excuse me, is it's about really leveraging the technology that we invested in. And if you may recall, council might recall that in November of 2023, we came back to City Council asking to do a kind of a reconfiguration of the system that we had already been using. And part of that is creating more self-service opportunities and more, you may have seen this in other cities, and we have a few here, express permit types. So that way, if you're coming in for a re-roof or an HVAC replacement, things that traditionally have taken staff hours and turnaround times, that those would be expedited, where that we could actually approve those kind of ministerially, and that would then free up staff to then work on the more complicated items. And so to answer your question, is it going to free up staff and make things faster? In that sense, yes, because it frees up resources for our staff to then go tend to those other cases.
Great. All right, I like that. Second question, as you mentioned about moving into a standalone IT division, what other local cities have moved into that model?
I believe Akbar might have more information on this. Ventura has moved to that model, Camarillo. This is really where you're seeing more operations move to, because technology has really just become part of everything that we are doing, and you really need that direct support and resources to really focus in that area. I don't know if there's any other cities you can think of.
Awesome. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Councilmember Engler.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a nice discussion yesterday, and thank you for that. Really looking forward to a standalone IT department. I knew that we did not have one, but it's something that I think ranks up there with having our own human resources, ranks up there with any other specialty that we need. So I'm glad we're going that way. I do have a question, though. There's a lot of things that we are looking for to improve our both internal and external relationships, and how we're trying to maximize that, leverage new technologies such as artificial intelligence to make things better for us. How are we going to measure some of those things? Do you have a way that you have set benchmarks? Say we'll have a 1 hour turnaround on permits, just for something we can measure. Do you have measurements that you're going to be looking for?
That is a great question, because part of doing these things is measuring how you're progressing. And one of the initiatives in the IT strategic plan is overhauling our performance measure program. So as we're looking at everything, all of our processes, our improvements, we want to take a fresh look at what we want to measure and really what do the measurements mean. And it's not just to measure how much work we're doing, but where are we going, and are we making progress towards those goals? So that is going to be part of this whole effort, is redoing those measurements.
Councilmember Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm really glad we're embarking on this. Very important that we continue to be an efficient organization and responsive to our citizens. I love the idea of a standalone department. I think that's important. And some things it looks like we're going to see right away. Microsoft Copilot for government, that's a good one. Upgrading our cybersecurity, another good one. New website coming in April. So we'll reap some immediate benefits. My question is this. So we're working on a downtown master plan. And one of the buildings we hope to create is a new city hall that will be more accessible to the public. Do you see this plan helping to design that new city hall or integrating into that new city hall? It seems to me that this is a great opportunity to meld the two. And I mean, I read through there, not everything, some things are physical rooms, conference rooms, how you might set them up to meld in with this information technology strategic plan. Is that going to happen?
Thank you, Councilmember Adam. We're having those conversations right now. In fact, just last week, your executive team had a day and a half worth of interviews with the architects. And in fact, one of the key questions to each one of those interviews was, how is technology going to affect your operation going forward? And there's a recognition collectively that the way we've done business for the last 30 years in this building may look quite different from the next 30 years in the new building. That probably is going to mean more hybrid conference areas where we're managing remote and also in-person workforce. It's going to mean virtual kiosks, how we interact with members of the public. It might mean additional areas where someone coming in for a permit might need to interact with an agency that's off-site, like Ventura County Fire. And how can we make that happen here in the central services lobby that we're contemplating. So this has been a really fun exercise in developing the ITSP with both Jamie and Carrie, while also contemplating what our new space is going to look like. It is going to inform that space, and more than likely, it's going to look different than what we've built in the early 90s.
And just to add on to that, the fact that we're at this moment right now with a plan that has a long horizon and brick and mortar construction vision in front of us, it's a rare opportunity to blend the two. And to think about this building, which I think we all agree doesn't function well as a service-based city hall, especially the service quotient that we put on ourselves here as a municipality. In a new building, we'll have a chance to do that both on a high-tech and high-touch manner that delivers much, much better service to our residents into the future.
Yeah, I mean, I see this as an incredible opportunity to blend the plan with the building and come up with a state-of-the-art city hall that's got all the latest technology built into it. So this is perfect timing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gutierrez.
We also had a conversation, and I was really impressed with the level of integration that the technology is going to take on to the city services. So mine is really a comment and a congratulations that this is all coming to fruition. I know there were council members prior and some currently sitting that had a role in helping this get to something we're voting on today. But I love the question that Councilmember Engler asked about performance, and that in that same 3.1, 2, and 3 was paired with data analytics. I'm really excited to, because sometimes you'll get the new performance measurement and not a good breadth of data to support how to measure things. My question is, my comment is yay, but my question to follow that up is is there a current baseline of data to see where we're winning? I'll leave it there, but if that made sense as far as my question.
As far as data winning, I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, just a baseline of where I imagine a lot of data lives in different systems or is outdated. It's a spreadsheet somewhere, maybe, hopefully not. But yeah, so I read some of the current state that's all going to be, put together.
That's a great question. There's a lot. I think our city prides ourselves in being innovative in trying to push the envelope of what is possible. I'd say one of the areas that we excel in is our sustainability efforts, and taking a lead in how we can optimize our operations to be a sustainable city and really set the standard for others to follow.
And
Thank
maybe
you.
to add to that, one of the things that cities are not short on, and ours is is in the same boat. We are rich with data, And the challenge when you run a multi-departments, we have library data, we have planning data, we have city clerk data, we have water data, utilities data, a lot of things. And it's about developing systems that take that data to the next level where we're able to cross-collaborate on that data and information rather than being siloed in buckets, and being able to use that to make better decisions down the road. And there's a lot of information that's there that's kind of packaged up in individual siloed systems that we're going to be working to help speak together a little clearer.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've got three questions. The first follows up on Councilmember Gutierrez's point, and Councilmember Engler's as well. One of many things I like about this plan, which is so comprehensive, but one thing that really jumped out is the overall effort to unlock data, to make it accessible to everyone wherever possible. And one really important step on that is a move toward enterprise licensing for our GIS systems. So no longer is that data in silos. It's available to everyone because we're buying a different kind of software license. We buy an enterprise license, it means everyone in the enterprise can use it. Everyone on city staff can use it, instead of having to buy per seat licenses, which limits and silos and locks up that information. We're moving away from that. So that's my question is, can we make the same kind of commitment about other critical systems? You mentioned ERP, for example, building permit systems, CMMS systems, other key systems. Are we also looking to move toward enterprise licensing for those systems to unlock that data?
Absolutely, it's a great question, and that is part of our vision statement. Is basically we want to look at systems that are impacting citywide. And even if we go through these exercises and find that there needs to be a standalone system, we're still looking at how to create a data management plan. So we're still unlocking that data and it's still accessing it and being able to use it against all the other data assets that we have, because it's combining those different types of data that you can really unlock new levels of analysis and interdependencies. So regardless of whether we're doing the enterprise-wide systems, which we are prioritizing, we're still going to make sure that accessing all data citywide remains our top priority.
I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, there's an old adage that you can't manage what you can't measure. And I think especially as we stand up this new IT department, you've got this innovation and data services group, and having access to the maximum amount of data, not having it locked up here or there is a great help toward that end. My second question is around accessibility, and there's I guess at least two connotations around there, two dimensions to that. One is access from any kind of platform, and kudos to the team for standing up the new website, which is, if it works well, really on any platform. The other part, and the plan explicitly calls out that the new website is ADA compliant, which is so important. We have a legal obligation to make public facilities, including our website, available to everyone, and that includes people with vision impairments, people with other kinds of impairments. And we're making that ADA compliance in that website. Can we make the same kind of commitment to accessibility in other systems as we redesign their user interfaces?
Absolutely, and that is a key consideration. One of the things and one of the initiatives we wanted to highlight was the mobile workforce, so putting the right tools in our staff hands to make sure they have full access to whatever system they need at whatever facility, and that it's fully accessible for everyone.
Yeah, it's so important. We don't know what the de facto device will look like 5 years from now. You know, imagine if we were having this conversation 15 years ago, we'd be talking about big boxy CRTs on desktops and, you know, being tied to a desktop. And this is a fast moving world. We need data to be available all different ways to all different people. So I'm glad to hear there's an effort on that. And then my final question is around people, we're standing up a new department. I'm with Councilmember Adam, yay. I'm so glad to see that, we need that. Are we ensuring there's a competitive process around hiring? Are we doing recruitment? Are we making sure that we're getting, this is such a high-quality plan overall. Are we also paying the same amount of attention to the hiring process as we do that?
I'll take that one since this would be an executive level hire. Just to answer your question succinctly, we would be doing a full-scale recruitment for this position, and likely some of the other specific technical positions within there, and probably leveraging the resources of some recruiters with experience directly in this field, because we would want to reach beyond just traditional local government experience to find folks that may have any other range of experiences. So absolutely. We have a good track record of that. We have a brand new human resources director that'll be joining us from Loudoun County, Virginia, starting in about a week and a half. So very excited about that. And that was, again, full competitive recruitment process. And we're underway for Mr. Finley's replacement right now, as a matter of fact. So in the same vein. So certainly something we put a priority on.
There's a lot of different technology elements, a lot of different skill sets here, so I'm really glad that we're looking at this in an enterprise, qualified way. So again, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions of staff, council? Very well, I'll entertain a motion or further discussion. Mayor Pro Tem Taylor.
I will move 12A and DeSequa. Do I need to do that? And 12A is fine. I'll move 12A.
12A based on the recommendation.
Based on staff recommendation.
Let's vote.
And that motion passes 5-0.
Very good. And again, thank you for a very comprehensive effort. We move now to our second department report, the dissolution of the Arts and Culture Roundtable. This is a resolution, rescinding resolution, a previous resolution, 2019-017, and dissolving the Arts and Culture Roundtable. And presenting this evening is our Cultural and Community Services Director, Jonathan Surratt. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Newman and council members. I'm just pulling this presentation up for y'all. All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight to discuss the Arts and Culture Roundtable and to recommend its dissolution. Over the years, there have been a number of groups associated with the arts, the city, and specifically the Civic Arts Plaza. Some of these groups have been formal council-appointed boards, committees, and commissions, and some have been independent nonprofit organizations. The Arts and Culture Roundtable was created in April of 2019 following the dissolution of the previous Cultural Affairs Commission. The purpose of the roundtable was to be an advisory body to the City Council for matters relating to arts and culture within the community. The roundtable is appointed by council, but carries no authority over staff, budget, or theater programming. The intention was for the composition to be made up of local artists, arts educators, and representatives of arts organizations, recognizing that the city is not and cannot always be the answer to every concern or perceived void. The roundtable was intended to serve as a convener to bring groups together and encourage collaboration wherever possible. The initial roundtable appointments were made in early 2020. The pandemic delayed the initial meetings of the group. Although well-intentioned, the roundtable has not been able to achieve consensus on developing a work plan since its inception. We recognize that serving on a committee is a time commitment, and many people have competing interests and priorities vying for limited individual attention. We've had to cancel several meetings of the roundtable simply because we haven't had a quorum of members available to participate. And lastly, recruitments often do not draw enough applicants, and regularly need to be extended in order to fill existing vacancies. Despite those challenges faced by the Roundtable, however, the city has made great strides with regard to art and culture in our community. In December of 2023, Council approved the comprehensive update to the city's general plan. This was the first significant update since it was originally written 50 years earlier. The general plan is often viewed as a roadmap for the city's future, and this update includes an arts and culture element which not only identifies and describes the existing environment, but provides goals as a framework for future advancements within the community. It is important to note that the arts and culture element and the general plan update were drafted following considerable community input. These included individual meetings and focus groups with arts organizations and various stakeholders. One such goal was to establish a formal public art policy and program. In November of 2024, only a couple of months ago, Council adopted a formal art and public places policy. From this policy, staff are working to formalize a public art program for inclusion in the upcoming biennial city budget. The Art and Public Places policy prescribes a process for city public art program. It provides a structure to guide solicitation, review, selection, implementation, and maintenance while considering funding. The review portion of this policy describes the need to gain input and feedback for proposed public art projects. When projects are being considered, a review committee will be formed for evaluation and feedback. This can include a mix of artists, residents, and potential stakeholders, including former Arts and Culture Roundtable members. Last year, the city also combined the Cultural Affairs and Library Services departments to create a unified home for theaters, libraries, and community services within the newly branded Cultural and Community Services Department. This has increased collaborative programming, representation, and serves as the administrative home for special events. It was through this department that we celebrated the city's 60th anniversary this past fall, with a week of free performances featuring the concert truck at various locations around the city. Whether at theater performances, library programs, or special events in the community, our team regularly engages with attendees to gain insight and feedback. Additionally, we hosted a community conversation for the Downtown Project 2 weeks ago, which focused on arts and entertainment. This discussion was attended by more than 50 community members who participated and shared their feedback and desires for consideration in the new, exciting downtown project. In Thousand Oaks, we're fortunate to have many organizations dedicated to arts and culture within our community. These are just some. It's not all. It's just some. And as we ask you tonight to dissolve the Arts and Culture Roundtable, I recognize that there will be questions about how people can still participate in the arts and how we can keep them engaged so that they can share their feedback with us. We have relationships with a number of many of these organizations and can reach out to them to ask for input as specific situations arise. Certainly, if any organizations are of specific interest, I would encourage folks to reach out directly and see how they might participate with a number of these organizations. There will also be, as I mentioned earlier, our team is open to feedback and engages with residents and visitors regularly to hear from them. There will be opportunities as public art projects are contemplated for some of the various Arts and Culture Roundtable members and other community members to be included on those review panels. And there are also opportunities for the public to share their feedback and participation in different discussions, such as the conversation regarding arts and entertainment in the downtown project. As a plug, there is a discussion tomorrow night at 4 p.m. in the Founders Room to discuss visitor experience and business mix of that very topic. There are meetings to discuss a range of topics relating to the downtown over the next 5 Wednesdays. As we continue further into this new exciting chapter of where our city is going, there will be opportunities for involvement. Some of them just do not exist yet. As they organically come into existence, staff will return to council with future recommendations when those needs arise. For now, staff are recommending council adoption of a resolution to rescind resolution number 2019-017, approving the dissolution of the Arts and Culture Roundtable effective immediately, and to find that this action does not constitute a project as defined by CEQA. And with that, I am available for your questions.
Very good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Surratt. Before we go to council questions, I should disclose that I had an ex parte communication about this item with Kyle Rohrbach, who is vice chair of TO Arts, and the reason for that conversation will become clear when I go to my questions, but I want to hear from everyone else first. Council members? Councilmember Engler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, my questions really have to do, I think it's regrettable that the roundtable did not really take off. I was hoping that would be a sounding board. It was a formalized approach to getting public input. The way we're going forward seems to be somewhat ad hoc. How are we going to ensure that this ad hoc nature is inclusive of everybody? Are you going to, as we come up to a specific idea, are we going to then go out and put that in the Acorn as a come on down, talk about it type invitation? How do you foresee going with this public input?
Excuse me. That is an excellent question, Councilmember Engler. And I think the true answer is it depends. It depends on what is the specific project that's coming forward. Certainly, there may be instances where we invite a number of folks to come on down, as we might say, to participate in more of a town hall format. Those are usually specific for information, and they're very similar to how we're conducting the discussions regarding the downtown right now. These are public sessions. They're open for everybody's input and attendance. We certainly want to hear as much feedback as possible, because only with that feedback can we actually make informed decisions. Some of these may be more specific and strategic in their selection, where a specific piece of art might be contemplated for a particular location. We may include on that particular review panel members of the previous Arts and Culture Roundtable where it might fit within their realm of expertise. Certainly local artists who would be better qualified to make objective decisions about the quality of art pieces that maybe some of us aren't necessarily equipped to make, but also individual stakeholders. So if a particular piece of art is located in an area where there is multiple businesses or maybe residents nearby, we would reach out to those stakeholders to make sure that we're engaging with them and getting their feedback as well.
And I sort of signaled to our Director of Communications to pop down as well, because I think it's a great question, and it's a question I think it's informative, not just for the council, but for the public at large. We spend a lot of time talking about outreach engagement in this community, and the truth of the matter is it has evolved dramatically over the course of the last decade. You know, many of you know I got my start in the marketing and outreach and civic engagement front, and so it's a personal passion of mine. But as Alex and I joke, it changes not yearly now, it changes monthly. And the way in which people expect to be reached and want to be reached is different and ever evolving. And so maybe if you'll just spend a minute speaking about how we approach that globally for the organization now.
Sure, of course. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alexandra South, the city's Director of Strategic Communications and Public Affairs. Over the last 5 years, we've really invested a lot of time and energy into diversifying our communications channels, adapting to the modern market, and also being in a limited media market. We have our local paper, which is an amazing resource, but we've worked extensively on our social and digital presence so that we can reach as many people as possible and make sure that those groups are diverse. We've incorporated a significant amount of Spanish language content in the last 2 years, and we continue to seek new ways. A key focus this year is going to be really growing our email lists. It's something that we've not spent a lot of time on, and it's becoming apparent that it's a significant resource. And so that'll be our next big focus this year with our brand new website, leveraging our ability to reach into people's homes where they maybe weren't aware of anything happening at the city ever before. Acorn ads are highly effective. We always leverage those, of course, but it's as part of a much larger strategy strategy where we're trying to get as many people engaged as possible. And through our downtown conversations that Jonathan has referenced, we've seen an impressive turnout so far, but most importantly, we've seen so many new faces and people who are genuinely interested in the project. And I think the roots of that really started during our general plan engagement and outreach, a lot of which started in person, was really robust, and we had a sharp pivot to a digital space that felt limited at first, but we still got incredible amounts of feedback, just organically, naturally, that was well incorporated into the general plan that the council adopted. And it's proven to be an effective tool for us, and so we want to continue leveraging that.
Just a quick follow-up, Ms. Mayor, if I can. And I mentioned the Acorn earlier. It wasn't a shameless plug for the newspaper. But I just want to make sure that absent this formalized structure that we've had in the past, that we really do that outreach and we keep track of the touches we've had and everything else. And you've experienced this as well, Alex, that when we go to do something, someone invariably says, first I've heard of it.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so I want to make sure we get that word out to everybody and that as much as possible.
Absolutely. And we do still hear that from time to time. Absolutely. There's no denying that occasionally that continues to pop up. I had no idea. But what that means is that we did finally reach that person. And it tells us that we're on the path of starting to get into different sections of social media, for example. Piggybacking off of Carrie's presentation earlier, we do a lot of data tracking. We use QR codes that tell us how effective that particular ad has been. We use short links that help us understand how many people are engaging with that content. And so it really helps us drill down and drive a really successful outreach in the digital spaces.
Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate what you're saying. Apparently what we were doing before with the formalized process wasn't exactly hitting the ball. So I think shifting gears, going to something different is probably appropriate now.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we don't lose that contact.
Absolutely.
I think we all do need to give a shout out to Alexandra, who is celebrating her birthday with us tonight. Just saying.
Thank you.
On behalf of the entire council, happy birthday.
Thank you. No need. It's okay. Thank you.
Our best birthday present to you is that we're not singing to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gutierrez.
This is probably a question for Alex as well, just because I was incognito in one of your sessions for specifically focused on the arts, and I found it to be a really engaging conversation, and a lot of community showed up. And as we move into these more ad hoc project-focused committees, I think those opportunities to capture touch points, like these are already engaged, but we weren't collecting any information. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that was so it felt light touch, or so I'm sure someone has brought it up or not. But as you bring up collecting or tracking email addresses specifically, and also just the data of touch points. Was that a decision, or what? How do we come to how we're capturing who's interested on the off season when we don't need a project committee to form, but they're kind of in the wings or in our purview?
Absolutely. So when we launched the community conversation series for the downtown project specifically, it was certainly light touch kind of out of the gate, but through our website, there was a semi-informal registration portal. And so far through that, we've captured nearly 50 emails for every session of people who actively went to our website, were engaged enough to take that step to give us and trust us with their email address. What I do at that point is make a segment that's a mailing list based on their interest in the downtown project. And so from there, emails can be tricky. A lot of people people don't want to receive emails, and we don't want to spam anybody, but I've been more intentional about keeping track of those in a way that's really focused and continues to expand that group. There's also an invitation at the bottom of each of those emails that says, if this was forwarded to you, please sign up for our email list so that we can continue to organically grow that. It's a grassroots feel that seems to be really successful. Again, as we learned through the GP, we saw a lot of that just kind of natural engagement as more and more people became aware, and as more and more people shared it within their friend and social groups, we started to see really significant turnouts to some of our events. And so it's something that we continue to retool and play with every time, but it's been pretty successful so far in building out those lists and starting to expand that space.
It sounds like I may have crashed your meeting without pre-registering.
It's okay, we knew you.
But I love that it's also targeted, that you're kind of capturing when they made, when they self-selected, right, and showed up. One seed I'll plant, and it's more just a comment and an observation from just one meeting, so it could be untrue of the rest. But engaging at a student level, and I'm sure we're doing some targeted messaging and building out that communication, but specifically because these projects, or the downtown project specifically, is going to be a few years out, capturing the next generation that will likely be who's spending time there longer periods than some of us maybe. I don't know, is that morbid? But just a seed.
Of course, and we're planting the seeds for the trees of tomorrow, and that's certainly an ethos that we've brought to anything that we do here. And I think that some of the opportunities, we have a youth leadership summit that's coming up soon, and I know there will be a variety of discussions around the downtown project and arts and entertainment and how those things all fold in. And so we have some really strong connections within the high school level, certainly, but throughout CVUSD, so that we can continue to expand the groups that participate that are going to be the visitors of the future, and we want them to be active in that space.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you. Following up on these, I'm in strong agreement with the points both council members made on it is a shame that ACR didn't work out as it was originally intended, but for the reasons Mr. Surratt gave, but just basic filling out the panel and then getting the panel to meet, let alone doing things with that. I would agree that we should be trying something else instead. And I strongly agree with Councilmember Engler that we do need to be intentional about gathering as much. As you know, I'm always about giving the public as much agency in all city processes as we can. And I'm delighted to hear there were so many people at the arts session, 50 plus. We have a vibrant arts community here. I hope they will be even more engaged going forward. I want to add on to that and ask the question, I'm glad you're doing all this data collection. I'm glad you're continuing to engage with this community. The question for this council, one of our tasks is we did update the arts and culture element of our general plan. I think we are regularly required to certify that we're meeting the goals in that element. And this goes to my conversation with Mr. Rohrbach on the two arts council. First question I had for him was, well, if it's not ACR, who else is? And he's the vice chair of TO Arts. He's an enthusiastic arts supporter here. And he made the point, yeah, TO Arts is ready, along with many others. But he said, TO Arts definitely could play a role here. I'm glad to hear that. I don't know if this is a question for Mr. Surratt or for you, or perhaps for Ms. Noonan. But are we able, my question at a high level is who certifies? Are we able as a council to take input from groups, some of whom may just be individual members of the public, but some of whom may be from public-private partnerships? And are we able to take inputs from all those groups in making certification decisions?
Well, and I'll let Jonathan jump in. You know, I think your general plan, your arts and culture element is an example of that, right? That was the most broad-based engagement from a multitude of groups that helped to inform that document, right? And so, you know, in general terms, yes, and we want as wide a swath as possible. Does that answer the question? Or-
It does.
The only thing I was going to add is when you're talking about certification, there's legal certification, and then there's proof that shows that we are accomplishing those goals. We have more than just the arts and culture element. We have a lot of different elements.
Yes.
And we bring to you, every time we do a staff report, you'll see at the bottom how it meets those goals. And so that's really your certification as well, is holding staff accountable to ensure that we're moving forward with those.
Okay, so I think the answer is yes, that we can accept inputs from many groups, some of which may be private or partly private.
I would argue that we get input from the community on a regular basis on every element of our general plan.
Right, very good. And that, to Councilmember Engler's point, it's so important that we continue to do that, to make sure that, yeah, we don't have a standing committee anymore, but the key point here is we are not in any way disengaging from arts and culture. We're going to have more inputs, not less, going forward.
And our community development team has been doing some pretty extensive tracking of the general plan implementation pieces. And so that's very much on everybody's radar, the various implementation aspects.
Right. Maybe if I might offer to the council, you know, it's always, there can be sort of a misperception in moments like these of, you know, something being a takeaway or a negative. I actually look at it quite the contrary. I actually think this is a very healthy exercise by the council. There is, to me, no worse form of engagement than engagement that's not driving results. And in this case, it's creating more angst and frustration, and it's an inefficient use of that time. And by rediverting those resources and looking at what's next, you're actually creating a healthy change. So, you know, these are the kind of conversations I came from other organizations in other cities that just didn't go through this exercise. And unfortunately, you end up with a lot of these legacy groups that are just hanging on, and they're not driving value, and they are really creating a burden on the organization. And they're not looking, okay, where's our needs today? Because our needs 5-7 years ago were that, and now we're in a different space. And I would just offer that as the council's contemplating. I think this is actually quite a healthy exercise and a positive one at that.
No, I happen to agree. Like I mentioned, apparently we missed the ball on having the formalized committee that wasn't able to come to consensus or, in fact, toward the end, even meet. So trying something else, I think, is actually a win, as you say, Mr. Powers.
This is also a really unique position for us as we move into this space, because with the formalized Arts and Culture Roundtable, we're really limited to just those up to 15 members who sit around that table. Whereas if we decentralize that and we start to move to a model that's more ad hoc, we actually open it up to be able to gather much more feedback from a broader cross-section of Thousand Oaks residents on a variety of topics.
Yeah, it's such an important point. I mean, up to 15, but as Councilmember Engler and I well know, we had trouble getting to a much smaller number than 15.
I believe we currently sit at 11.
Right. And that was a struggle. And then getting a quorum of those 11 was a problem. So we're not talking about 11 or 15. We're talking about dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of inputs, and that's a positive step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Are there any other questions or comments for staff? Well, thank you, Mr. Surratt, Ms. Sal. And I will entertain further discussion or a motion. Councilmember Engler.
I would move staff recommendation to rescind the Arts Council.
Thank you. And as soon as it comes up, we can
We're
vote.
going to move the recommendation about CEQA also. We'll add that to the motion.
Yes, I thought I was, by staff recommendation, I meant the entire recommendation.
Okay, thank you. And that motion passes 5-0.
Very good. Again, thank you. We move next to comments from City Manager, Mr. Powers.
Thanks so much, Mayor Newman. We'll be back here on the 11th of February. Currently have 3 items working their way through the process. Department report on our 2024 pavement management program. We have a department report on our Family Justice Center that we've been working on with the Ventura County District Attorney's Office. We have committee, commission, and board reports, our 24-25 Community Environmental Enhancement Grant recommendations. We also are anticipating the potential of appointment items for Planning Commission and Traffic Commission to emerge that evening as well.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Powers. And with that, we will adjourn to our next regular meeting on February 11th, 2025. Good evening, Thousand Oaks.